Welcome to Trans Fabulous. My name is Sasja Sÿdek, and I'm co-founder of Transgender United and Trans Pride March Melbourne. I'm also that familiar voice at Curring the Air at 3CR, also the board member of TransFem to End Violence Against Trans Women. Today, I have a special guest, my sister, Trans Fabulous Rebeckah Loveday. But before I start, we would like to acknowledge that this event and all the work that we undertake as a crew happens on a stolen land. We wish to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation are the traditional custodian of this land we call now Melbourne. We pay respect to their elders past, present and emerging. Always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I also would like to extend my respect to trans elders past and present. Rebeckah Loveday, pronouns she, her, is a non-Melbourne-based actor, model, presenter, and transgender advocate. Co-founder of Trans Pride March Melbourne and Trans Sisters United. Board member of Melbourne Queer Film Festival and a title holder and host of Miss Trans Global. Rebeckah is a proud woman of transgender experience and strongly believes in using her voice and a platform to raise awareness on the plight against trans and gender diverse people around the world. Welcome, Rebeckah.
Thank you, Sasha. So nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being trans fabulous.
Thank you. I feel trans fabulous.
Yes, because I know you for a few years now.
Yes.
And we both co-founder of Transgender United and Trans Pride March Melbourne. We have done a few advocacy work together.
I think the very first time that we met, we have done a lot together over the years. And I think the very, very first time we met, we were both judges.
Yes.
In a beauty pageant. So we were both judging for Miss Trans and Miss Drag Australia.
As usual, we are very judgy people.
Yeah, so we were the judges. And I think that's when we very first met. But I think we actually properly connected probably a year or so later.
Yeah, by Miss Catalina. Miss Catalina reached out to me and said, you need to meet this amazing woman, this trans fabulous woman. I think you both are going to get along. And then when she messaged me that it was you, I said, I already met her already. We were judging that beauty pageant. I think it's 2018 or 2017.
Yes, I think, I'm going to say 2017, around that time.
Yeah. That's when we went our first experience at the Melbourne Queer Film Festival. That experience as well with that film that inspired us to be wanting to do more for our community, isn't it? And then that's how Trans Sisters United was born.
Yeah, it birthed from that. So we were watching the film about the brother boys and sister girls of the Tivi Islands, and we were really inspired to use our platform and our experiences and our privileges to support other people within the trans community. And that's when you and I decided to do a self-funded project to go to the Tivi Islands.
I didn't see myself an advocate yet because I haven't done anything yet. I mean, you and Miss Catalina have done a few stuff with the community, but I haven't. That's why it was all new to me. But I guess our first work that we want to do to reach out to the people of this land, that is the sister girls. And I think that was amazing experience. Can you tell a bit more about the experience that we had in Tivi Island?
We had so much fun there. I mean, from flying to Darwin and then getting the ferry across to the Tivi Islands to meeting all of the brother boys and sister girls on the Tivi Islands was absolutely incredible. I remember, the first time meeting them was just so special, and they were such beautiful people. And then we went back a second time, you and I, and we actually stayed on the island for several nights. And we stayed in a storage container. Do you remember?
So that was an experience. I mean,
it was a hotel apparently.
It was like almost you paid that kind of price at Ritz-Carlton, but that was the price that we paid. So we can't afford to have two different rooms, so we shared one room and slept in the same bed. But I think that was a wise decision as well, because it was a bit scary though.
It was scary because you're literally in the middle of the ocean on a small island, no phone reception.
There's no internet, there's no phone reception.
There was nothing. And so I think being in that kind of rustic and raw environment, I think we felt quite safe being in the same room and sharing a bed.
Oh, definitely. You are an amazing partner to travel with. It was so much fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, we even had some time to ourselves in Darwin, but we in Tivi Island with the sister girls. Oh my God, I think we create an impact for them, isn't it? Like on the first day when we meet them, you were in braids.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then we had a photo shoot the next day for them.
Yes.
And then all of them came in braids.
That's right. Yeah, because I braided my hair because
Yeah.
it was so hot that I just wanted to have like a braid in my hair, and the next day they're all rocking braids. So I think it's really nice that without even speaking, that we inspire them in the smallest ways, even with hairstyling and just spending time with them and sharing our stories and our experiences with them. I think they really appreciated it.
Yeah, on the first day we did like a barbecue, getting to know each other, and we brought all these raw meats from Darwin. We were told to bring raw meats from Darwin because it's a lot cheaper there. So yeah, we were carrying a lot of stuff. We were carrying magazines from TGV. We were carrying makeups, and then there's handbags, and then there's clothes, there's jewelries for all the sister girls, and this is just the two of us, like
plus our own luggage.
Plus our own luggage. That's it. And
in like 35-degree heat.
Yeah, oh my gosh. It's crazy, but it was totally worth it.
It was.
Because the second day, that's where you know that they like us, because there's not much communication on the first day, only a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they still like, who is these two privileged girls coming to our town and just like trying to to wong fu us.
Yeah, I think they felt a little bit shy initially, but then they kind of grew and warmed to us. Yeah, and it was a really fun experience.
Yeah, the next day, and from what we heard, like most of them were there a lot earlier than the time expected, and and Diane Davis, who is running the place, the art gallery, she said this never happened before. They are always late. Yeah. So that makes us feel really, really good that they are so committed to us and wanting to get to know us and want to do things with us.
And we learned a lot from them as well.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, a lot. Getting to know you along all these years, getting to know that you're a model, you're an actress. I think I've seen a few of your like short films, but the big one was the movie called Clean. Yeah. Yes. If anyone don't know about that movie, Clean is actually from the book The Trauma Cleaner. It's a biography of a trans woman named Sandra Pankhurst, who passed away recently. So they made a movie, and Rebeckah took her role. And can you explain a little bit more about that role? How did you manage to get that role?
So it was really interesting. So with the documentary Clean, so Sandra was having her life documented 3 years before her passing in 2019. No, it was 2020. 2021?
Maybe.
I think it was 2021, yes.
Did we meet her before the COVID or after? Or during? No, before COVID. So 2019.
That's when we met her, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but she passed away in 2021.
Yeah.
And they were filming her life up until the point of her death.
Yeah.
And I remember that I'd met Sandra quite a few times beforehand. We'd met through different community events, and we'd worked together actually as well on some different projects. And I remember at the time there was a film crew following her, and they were telling her story, and they met me, and I signed a non-disclosure agreement and to say that I was happy to have my face in this documentary. Anyway, fast forward about 3 years later, we heard the news that Sandra had passed away, and a month or two after that, I was contacted by the film crew and said that they're still completing the film for Sandra's life, the documentary on her story, and they needed to create reenactments of her from the 70s and 80s of her when she was a showgirl and when she was a sex worker, and also her pre-transition, and they asked if I would be willing to play Sandra in these particular roles.
What did you say?
I was yes. It was a very surreal moment because
we did talk about this when we went for lunch at her place. You remember when she invited us?
Yes.
And then we said, if you ever have a documentary, Rebeckah gonna play you.
Yeah.
Remember this conversation?
If they ever make a story of your life, then I can happily play you.
Yeah.
And it was all in jest and a joke at the time.
Yeah.
But then it actually came to fruition after her death. And so I accepted to do it, and I met with the director and I met with the crew. the other actors as well, and agreed to do it. And we filmed during COVID, so we were in lockdown at the time, and I had to like sign all these agreements that I was going to be on the film. There was all these approvals from the government to continue filming even during lockdown. And it was an incredible experience. It was so much fun.
Okay, yeah.
It was so much fun.
You did really well. You did justice
Thank you.
playing her, because it was emotional for many of us as well, because we have created this connection with Sandra Pankhurst. She also, I look up to her because of her strength as well as a trans elders, and to find out that she passed away was heartbreaking for me.
It was.
And then when you did the movie, oh my god, it's just like the real resemblance of her. Yeah, especially with that Farrah Fawcett hair.
Yes, it was incredible. Like the scenes were so much fun. The showgirl scene was a lot of fun, and even the costuming and the design of how they wanted to resemble a picture of Sandra from her showgirl days. I think that the most challenging part for me, like I was more than happy to take my clothes off and be a to be a showgirl for a day, and even the doing the sex work scenes like that, I was very comfortable with the other actor. We got to know each other quite well, and we were very comfortable with each other. And
even the sex scene,
that
was very juicy.
It was very intense.
Yes,
we had good on-screen, chemistry.
Yeah.
But the hardest part was detransitioning for when she was, but like telling the early story of her from the 70s. So I remember having to be in costume, and I was a bit of a diva, a bit of a Mariah. I said, I don't want this and I want this. And my main request was I didn't want a mirror in front of me, because I didn't want to see the detransitioning of me into a man.
Of course.
And like when I finally saw myself in front of the mirror with a beard and
the
short hair and looking like a man, it was very it was interesting, but it was good because they also had a trans support person as part of their team that I could talk to if I felt uncomfortable at any point. But that was probably the most overwhelming part. But then once they put on the outfit, it was a bit like retro, like flares and a shirt. I was loving it.
You got into the character.
Yeah, I was strutting around and like
an actress.
Bit Bee Gees.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It's amazing. I mean, like, why haven't you done more movies?
I mean, I've done quite a bit of acting in my time, but that was the last. That was the
biggest one, like literally, like a big screen.
Yeah, like part of Melbourne International Film Festival, and so it was a closing night film last year. So that was the biggest thing I've done, and I mean, I've done some other things as well with Netflix. I've done a series called Deadly Women, which I was in twice, and I've done some other short films as well. But I think amongst all of that, I do modeling as well, and I think I've steered a little bit more towards the modeling side of things and less so with the acting. But with acting, at the moment I'm self-representing, so I'm a little bit fussy with the projects I take on.
Okay.
And so if things kind of speak to me and I'm happy to do them and I'm comfortable doing them, I'm more than happy to do it. But I think with modeling, I have so much fun doing that because you get to be glamorous and be on a catwalk or doing photo shoots. Yeah.
Trans fabulous.
It is trans fabulous. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, talking about modeling, you also the winner of Miss Trans Global. Can we talk a little bit about what Miss Trans Global all about?
Yeah, so Miss Trans Global is, it originally started as a digital beauty pageant for trans feminine people.
What do you mean by digital beauty pageant?
A digital beauty pageant. So, well, pageants are predominantly on a stage. And you have like an audience, and you can't really do that during lockdown. So they wanted to film everything for the pageant. So it was done on YouTube. Like that was where everything was kind of screened. And there was contestants from all over the world, which made it really interesting because there was like people that were contestants from Africa, from Europe, from the Americas, the Philippines. Yes, there was a lot of different people. India as well. Yeah. There was a lot of different countries being represented. I was representing Australia. And I'd never done a pageant before, and Sasha, you helped me a lot throughout this process, as you know.
And this happened during COVID too.
Yes,
during lockdown, we had the biggest, longest lockdown here in Melbourne.
We did, but we managed to do all the filming, and I think it was a really fun thing to do at the time because we weren't really doing much in lockdown, and to be able to be glamorous and get dressed up. And I remember you and I were going to all these different locations, and you were being my film director and telling me how to stand and how to walk, and we how to pose, and it was really good. And
Yeah.
it was such a fun experience. I remember one particular time when it was time to do the swimwear, and it was freezing. It was the middle of winter, and you have to have like, you have to have really kind of scenic and popular venues and sites for people to see, landscapes, and we have to go to Luna Park. You have to do it at the front of Luna Park, and so we went to Luna Park to do the swimwear. Everyone's inside their houses in lockdown, and I was wearing like a trench coat, and then all of a sudden the trench coat drops off, and then we start doing the strut out the front of Luna Park, and it was so much fun.
It was so much fun. I mean, I think all of us during that time, we were craving for projects after projects, and you know, it was a project for us. And it was a fun project too.
It was really
it's something that I've done in the past behind the scene, taking pictures of somebody or, you know, or just stylists behind the scene. So it was natural for me. So I was like, yeah, I'm game for it.
You were so good at it too. Like I honestly don't think I would have got as far as I did without your help and support.
Oh, thank you.
No, I really
but
do.
You're beautiful. I mean, like, I think it's not just a beauty pageant. It's also what you do with the community as well, isn't it? With this pageant.
Well, yeah, the thing with Miss Trans Global, it's more equally given around, yes, it's fun to get dressed up and look glamorous and beautiful for the pageant, but it's more around your advocacy work and your voice and what you have to say. Like, that was a huge part of it. And I think because I am so opinionated and I do have such strong opinions around my advocacy, that helped push me further into the competition and be crowned Duchess Global 2020, which was amazing. So first runner up in that pageant next to Mel Haberjan,
and
who beat me by 1 point.
Just 1 point.
1 point.
Damn.
There was 1 point difference between myself and Mella. Yeah.
And you know, usually when beauty pageant like this, the winner or the first runner up as well, you have to advocacy work to be done. Is that something, is it the same as well?
Yeah, no, there definitely was with Miss Trans Global, that we did a bunch of like international interviews. We did further advocacy work. I ended up taking over and doing Miss Trans Global Australia, so I hosted the following year for the Australian run of the pageant, where we crowned Addison Joy Harper.
So Australian won for last year?
No, it was Brazil, I think. So,
oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so the interesting with Miss Trans Global, it's been going...
so you are the mentor of Miss Australia?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yes, I was the mentor for Addison, who's from Darwin.
Yes.
So, yeah, and she won the Australian segment for it, and then she went in to do the international competition that year.
Yay.
But I know that they're doing Miss Trans Global for 2023, and it's actually a stage pageant in the UK.
Okay, so are you going?
No. It's a long way.
They're not going to invite you and send you a ticket?
Oh, they should send me a ticket.
Right?
Miss Sahara, send me a ticket.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're doing a stage pageant, which is amazing. So they've selected the girls and yeah, it's going to be staged, which is incredible. Yeah.
I'm always a bit skeptical with beauty pageants. You know, I thought it was like, why would you have to compete, you know, about your beauty? I mean, beauty is individuals.
Yeah.
And that's why I always like, I used to be so into it, and then afterward, as I grow older, it's like, why are we competing this? And then if you fail, and then you just feel sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
I guess it's changing now, isn't it?
It is changing.
Dynamics change.
I mean, historically, beauty pageants have had very strict rules around who can enter. And for a lot of mainstream beauty pageants, trans women aren't allowed to enter into mainstream beauty pageants. If you've been divorced, if you have kids, if you're under a certain height, if you're under a certain size.
Criminal records.
So there's 2 reasons I couldn't apply. No.
Yeah.
But no, so there's all these different reasons, but I think pageants are becoming a lot more inclusive of diversity, and that's why I think Miss Trans Global is so progressive in what it does, because it wasn't just about being inclusive for trans women, it was like all trans feminine people, regardless of ethnicity, body shape, size, you know, background. It didn't really matter.
As fabulous as you are, you know, I know the work that you've done for, you know, not just the trans community, but the legit work that you've done every day.
My 9 to 5.
Yeah, 9 to 5 job. You know, you help with people who are experiencing homelessness. Can we talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so I've worked in community services for over 12 years. Initially, my first job in community services was working in a reintegration program for people coming out of custody, going back into society.
Right.
And so I would have to go to all the male prisons and the female prisons in Sydney and go and meet with the prisoners that were about to be released and help to reintegrate them back into society. And so that was like, you know, I was 27 when this happened. It was a very intense time, but I felt like Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs, walking through the prisons to meet these prisoners.
Yes.
But it was really rewarding because you're helping people to change their lifestyles and change their habits so they can be a part of society and have purpose and meaning. And from there, I now work in homelessness, in the homelessness sector. So I work in a rapid housing program supporting people that have chronic homelessness that have been on the streets for a very long time to support them into housing. And the thing with that is that you when people have lived that lifestyle for a very long time, you can't just put them into a house and think they're going to be okay because they don't actually know how to manage that. They don't know how to pay bills. They often don't feel very comfortable to be in a house because they haven't. Some of the people that we worked with, they would like pitch a tent in the middle of the lounge room.
Oh, no way.
Or sleep on the balcony on the sleeping bag and things like that because that's what they used to. That was their comfortability. So the program I was in goes for 3 years. So it really supports people to adjust into having those
comfort.
The comfort and the change in a living and lifestyle, but also to become a part of society, to have social inclusion, gain employment, to reconnect with culture and family and people around them. So it was a very overarching, intense program that goes beyond just housing people that have experienced homelessness.
And do you get to build relationship with, would I say client? This client?
You can say client.
Do you get to build relationship, like you become friends later on?
I mean, I wouldn't.
Boundaries.
There's boundaries. I wouldn't say we're friends, but when you've worked with someone for 3 years in that intense environment, you do connect and bond with people. And I think the more you get to know people, the more comfortable they get with you and the closer those relationships become. And the program that I work in finishes in 2 weeks. And so I'm starting to say goodbye to a lot of the people that I worked with. And it's been quite emotional because you do grow bonds with those people. And they're so grateful. They're so grateful to be in a better position in their lives and to be stable and comfortable and safe in their own environments.
And do you think you would stay in touch with your client?
Well, technically, we're not allowed to.
Okay.
But I mean, we're
only human too.
We're not meant to, but I've said to some of my clients that live locally to where I live, I said, look, like if you see me in the street, I know this program's coming to an end, I can't support you anymore, but if you see me in the street, you can come and say hello to me, because you need to give them that permission.
Of course.
Otherwise, fast forward and you do see them, it's an awkward interaction, and it makes them feel comfortable and safe, and they know that you're not going to be able to continue supporting them, but they can come say hello.
And you're also the board member of TransFem as well, you know, with us, with me, to end violence against trans women. And this is something that you moving on to something that is similar?
Yes. So working on TransFem with yourself and Star Lady and the team at TransFem, supported by the Zoe Bold Gender Collective. That's something I'm incredibly passionate about because my very, very first relationship that I was in, the man that I fell in love with, the man of my dreams, he did everything right. He bought me the flowers. We went to hotels, did all the lovely things. It ended up being a very toxic and abusive relationship. And so my first experience as a trans woman was understanding that when a man loves you, it's abuse. And so that from a very young age, I learned that. And so that became something I was very passionate about. And that's how I got into community service in the first place, because of that experience. And it's a bit of a full circle moment because now I'm going to be moving into a new role, which is a family violence specific organization. And my role itself will be supporting people within the LGBTQA+ community who have experienced family violence and supporting the team to create pathways for people that have had those experiences. And so for me to have that lived experience and then to be in a position to then help others and to educate the organization and create connections with rainbow organizations, I think it's exciting. So that's my next little gig. Good.
And talking about dating, you have this card called coffee or wine, you pick the time. I know you've been doing a lot of relationship coaching on Instagram stories, so you know, and you came up with this card.
I was in a long-term relationship, as you know, for 5 years, and we broke up, and that was so challenging for me. And through that experience, I did a lot of self-love and healing, and I did a lot of online courses because we're still in lockdown. And so I really got to understand myself and learn about what works for me and about my healing journey and to heal my trauma and to kind of work through those experiences myself to be the best version of myself. And I've learned a lot about it. And from that, I felt that it was really important to go out and start dating all over again. So I created
I
my
really
dating
like
business cards.
Coffee or wine, you pick the time, baby.
Well, we spend so much time online, and I think
Yeah.
it's so much nicer to have in-person human interactions.
Mm-mm.
And there could be a cute guy in the coffee shop, and you could
So like slide.
Yeah.
Instead of, I thought people
He's-
like slide in the DM, but now it's old fashioned way.
old-fashioned. I'm an
Yeah.
old-fashioned kind of girl. This area that I'm
Yeah.
passionate about. I'm also starting a new podcast, which is called Love Life Daily, and
Girl.
I talk about love life. I talk about self-advocacy and healing, and all those types of things.
Before we wrap up, we want to talk about Trans Pride March Melbourne, you know,
Yes.
2023. So, any updates, sis?
So, well, as we are both, co-founders of Trans Pride March Melbourne alongside Miss Catalina, we have been working hard. We definitely have a great list of people that are going to be performing at the Trans Pride concert.
Yeah.
And so
Trans Pride concert is totally different from Trans Pride March.
So I think
It's going to be on the same day, isn't it?
I think we're going to work on having them together. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think what we're going to be doing, we don't want to announce anything too
Yeah.
soon, but I think later this year we'll be having a big announcement around Trans Pride March and the Trans Pride concert being intertwined together into one big trans fabulous event.
Yes.
And it'll be later this year. So it'll be something to look out for. It's going to be amazing.
Trans Pride concert, it will be all predominantly all trans. Not predominantly, it's all trans artists.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think even when it comes to the stage crew and organizations that we collaborate with, we want it to be very much all trans.
Trans and non-binary, gender diverse,
Yes.
gender non-conforming.
Yes. Yes. And our allies, of course, too, that help along the way.
Yeah. We had a few allies. Was it last year?
Yeah, well, even our marshals, a lot of our marshals were
yeah.
allies of the community.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us as a community to have trans allies, because if we don't have allyship, we're not going to get anywhere, are we? Because the majority of society is going to could be our allies,
What's the future of Rebeckah Loveday?
Well, I'm going to keep handing out my dating cards.
Is this only weekends only? Or it opens to
24/7.
Monday to Sunday.
No, 24/7.
Okay.
Yes, my personal dating business, which for the record is purely just dating for fun. That's all it is. And I think
And you're looking for marriage?
I would love to get married.
Okay.
I would love to get married. It shows confidence, it's memorable, it's creative, and I'm all of those things.
Yeah.
I'm very memorable.
Thank you so much for being here and being trans fabulous. I'm looking forward to see you more on the big screen.
Yes.
And also working with you together, of course. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Sasha. It's been fabulous.
Thank
Trans
you.
fabulous.
Trans fabulous. Thank you for watching Trans Fabulous, and I'll see you again on the next episode. My name is Sasja Sÿdek, signing out.